Hey everyone, Face here. This is going to be a three-part video because I've got a few things I want to talk about. First of all, some of you may have already seen my updated blog post or the thread on escalemodels.com, but I have gone ahead and finished assembly of my Optimus Prime model. I'm going to talk a lot more about it at greater length in a few minutes, but for now, I'll just say that for this being Takara Tomi's first foray into this kind of model kit, they've really hit this one out of the park. They did an outstanding job. I mean, that's not to say that there's not a few minor flaws, but overall, it is an absolutely outstanding kit, and I recommend it very, very highly. Like I said, though, I'll talk in more detail about it in a couple of minutes, but I do kind of want to tease a couple of other things that I have picked up today that I will be doing unboxing videos for that'll be out within the next day or so. The first of which being, this is Tamiya's latest in their 1/32 scale aircraft series. This is the P-51D Mustang. Haven't had much of a chance to look through the box yet, but from what I have seen, I've skimmed through the manual and some of the other bits and pieces that come with it. This is going to be a wow. I don't even know what else to say, but this is going to be an amazing kit, and I'm very anxious to get a closer look at it. And finally, the latest from Mobius Models in their Battlestar Galactica series, the Mark VII Viper. I've already built the Mark II and the Galactica, which were both very, very good models. And this is their latest of the top of the line, the high-end, fancy schmancy type Viper that was flown by the elite pilots of the fleet. Again, I haven't really had a chance to look at it yet, but I've glanced through the box, and it looks pretty impressive already. So anyway, we'll talk at greater length about those later on. So for right now, I just really wanted to talk about my Optimus Prime model. So let's take a look at him. So this version of Prime is based on his appearance in Dark of the Moon. He has a very minor series of redesigns from his appearance in the previous movies, mostly pertaining to his abs here and the armor panel on the side of his arm. Some other minor details, I haven't really been able to pick out anything too specific, but those are the major ones. He's an outstanding looking figure. The detail, the layers of detail in his chest are just outstanding. I mean, you can see he's got separate side view mirrors on his vehicle mode doors. Not only that, but the little sun visor parts that would go over his windshield in vehicle mode are also slightly articulated. Not significantly, but they can tilt up and down a little bit and turn from side to side, giving him a little additional room to emote. I have him displayed with the retracted face mask, because I actually prefer that look. I feel that the extended face mask, it kind of looks a little goofy. It looks a bit like a beak to me. I mean, I just don't really care for it that much. I feel that he's able to better emote with the face mask retracted. I've actually done a very basic paint wash using just some flat black acrylic paint, just to kind of bring out the details a little bit, but you can kind of see a little bit in the very recesses of his face. Like, there's a lot of molded in detail in there that looks really, really good with even just a very simple paint wash. The chromed parts, he's got quite a few on his chest and shoulders. The aforementioned sun visors, these are his air cleaners in vehicle mode. His exhaust smokestacks as well are all chromed, as are his side view mirrors. And the chrome is okay. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of chrome in a model like this. So if I do repaint it, I will most certainly strip the chrome off and redo it. There's actually quite a bit you can see on his back as well. I believe these originally were his maybe his fuel tanks. but looking down, you can see his wheel hubs on his hips, and his tires, which I mentioned actually in the last video, that his wheels do this kind of funky split thing, which you can kind of see there. Not really sure why they do it, but it looks neat. And down the rest of his legs, you can see there's lots of layers of detail and a few more chrome-plated parts, mostly like on his hip. But there's actually a lot of really neat detail on his legs as well. Lots of mechanical parts. I believe this would be a brake disc right here. Not a lot that's recognizable, but overall some pretty neat details. Lots of flame. The flame patterns are really well done, and that's going to be a tough part to replicate with the decals, should I choose to repaint. Because I don't really know the quality of the decals. At least with other modeling companies, like their decal sets are kind of a known quantity, but with Takara Tomy, they've never really done a model like this, so I don't really know what their decals are going to be like. So here's hoping at least that they turn out okay. I haven't heard any word otherwise as of this point. As for articulation, he's got all the major points. Free rotation on his shoulders, bicep swivel, a pretty significant elbow bend, not quite 180 degrees, is only a single joint, but it's pretty significant. He does have ball-jointed wrist, and as you can see, he got like rotation, a little bit of side-to-side and front-to-back movement. And his fingers are all ball-jointed with a separate hinge. You can see there's his thumb, has some movement to it. The hands were actually the biggest problem I had with the kit, and most other builders have said the same thing, that they're not done the same way as Bandai's Master Grade hands, which they kind of snap into one another. These ones are just a simple peg and hole. If you look, let's see, you can't really tell on here, because I've actually fixed them a little bit, and I'll explain how I did that. See, it's just like, actually you can kind of see it on the thumb a little bit right there. It's just like two halves with a peg on one half that fits through a hole on the other half, and there's no mushrooming of the peg to make it lock in place. So the peg is literally held in just with friction. So like whenever you adjust the joint, as long as you're not keeping pressure on it, it can slide out and fall apart. It was really quite frustrating, but I happened upon a video fix, or a video showing off a fix from another transformer customizer called Encline Designs, and he suggested, I'll actually link directly to the video down below so you can get a good look at it, but he suggested I take a soldering iron to the actual peg that fits through. See, if you look on the underside of the thumb, you can actually see the peg move there a little bit. If you take a soldering iron to the peg and kind of mushroom it out yourself, then you'll solve that problem. And it seems to have worked pretty well. I did it to all the finger joints, and it's worked out. They haven't fallen apart since. But it really makes you wish that Takara Tomy had done that themselves. Added just a slight mushrooming to the peg, just so that they would stay together a little bit better. Because the fingers are such a focal part, like a point of focus of the model, and you really would wish that they would be able to stay together a little more stably. Anyway, continuing on our look at his articulation, he has several points of articulation in his waist. Let's move his arm out of the way. His waist can rotate, can tilt a bit from side to side and from front to back. He's got a good satisfying ab crunch to him, and his fifth wheel just popped off of his lower back. He's got lots of range of motion in his hips, full range out to the sides, significant range of motion forward and backwards. In my last video, I mentioned that he seemed... Actually, I'm going to pop one of his arms off just to clear off that space, so it's a little easier to see. I mentioned that he appeared to only have a single knee joint, which is actually not true. He does have two knee joints. If you look, he's got a separate joint on his shin, similar to a perfect grade or a master grade Gundam kit. This portion here is designed actually to slide up, but it tends to bind up a little bit. But there you go. You can see he gets a little bit more of a knee bend to him. But the problem is that this detail here on the back of his calf collides with the wheel. It's actually pushing the tire off of the rim as we speak. So you don't really get much meaningful articulation out of that second joint before it starts just colliding with other parts. The upper knee joint, however, does kind of borrow a feature from some of Bandai's kits. Sorry, this armor panel keeps sliding out of the way. In that this armor panel on the front slides backwards and forwards as the joint articulates, as it's on a sliding actuator that's pinned into the knee joint, which is a pretty nice touch, and it works very well as opposed to the lower leg, which unfortunately does not. Now, I'm going to pop his leg off so I can show you his foot a little easier. His foot is a freaking miracle of engineering. You wouldn't think it to look at it, but this foot, not including the double ankle joints, actually has 7 moving articulated points. He's got his 2 toes on either side. He's got a little flap on either side as well. This portion here can tilt from side to side, and then the heel spurs can tilt forward and backwards. So he's got 7 individual points of articulation just on the foot. And that's not counting... sorry, my hand keeps getting in the way. That's not counting the ankle tilt or the forward and backward motion. So he's got some pretty significant articulation to his feet. As you can see, like, this thing is really, really able to move quite a significant amount. So there he is back in one piece. He does have the swappable faces, as I said before. There's the alternate face with the faceplate sitting in his hand, because as we all know, Prime loves to collect faces, which is the one reason I would be reluctant to want to live in the Transformers universe, because I'd be afraid that he would want to try and collect me. Now, I was quite disappointed when this model was announced that he wasn't going to include his blaster weapons that he uses in the first 2 movies. He does, however, include a pair of Energon swords, which he uses to great effect in pretty much every movie, in fact. It's interesting in that there's 2 different ways of attaching them. On the right arm, I have it attached directly into the socket joint where the fist came out of, with a ball joint. But on the left arm, I have it displayed the alternate option, which is to actually mount it to the side of his forearm. You can see here underneath the armor panel, it mounts directly to the forearm, and is just the armor plate just covers over top of it, except when it doesn't want to. It's kind of tricky to find the pegs. There it goes. I'm not really sure why they went with both options, but I guess it's a nice attention to detail, because I think he did in the first 2 movies. I think primarily he used the replacement option, particularly in the fight against Bone Crusher in the first movie, and the fight in the forest against Megatron and Starscream and the helicopter in the second movie. But when he was powered up with the parts from Jetfire at the end of the second movie, I do believe it used the forearm mounting point instead of the wrist. Honestly, I prefer the replacement option, because it just seems more authentically Transformers to me. Because, like, go back and watch any old episode, you know, from the original series, and all the time Transformers were retracting their fists and replacing them with some kind of tool weapon. Prime had the obvious example of his Energon axe. Megatron had his Energon flail. Jazz had a grappling hook. Ironhide had a kind of multi-tool weapon. I believe could shoot like liquid nitrogen sometimes. I think in another episode it shot really powerful adhesive. So I just feel that the replacement option is more authentically Transformers than the forearm mount attachment. But you know, to each your own. I mean, it's nice that they offered the two options. So here is Prime standing with dual model kit Bumblebee, who, as you can see, is quite a lot smaller. They're both the same scale, both 1/35th, which explains their massive size difference. Bumblebee being, you know, a scout essentially, explaining away his much smaller size, while Prime, you know, being the burly, larger, the leader, obviously, you know, he'd have to be much larger and more able to handle Megatron and the other larger threats out there. As I've said before, Prime is about 10 inches tall, while Bumblebee is about 6 inches. Bumblebee is a lot more usefully posable. I had him posed in a pretty dynamic action pose earlier, while Prime can't really assume a lot of really interesting poses with his legs. I mean, his arms you can do a lot with, but his legs, he's got the big feet, but it's kind of hard to make him do anything because his legs are so long, for one thing, and his joints are a little bit loose. So he ends up not very stable, which is kind of a bummer. Let's do a little comparison. I've shown off my Leader Class Optimus Prime toy a few times, and here they are next to each other, and you can see there's, sorry, I'll have to back up a little bit. They're really quite similar, but the toy is quite a lot bulkier. They're about the same height, but the toy has a much bulkier torso, primarily because it has to have the sound box and speaker built into the chest. So that does take up a lot of space. But while the model kit has no such constraints. Not to mention that model kit doesn't have to transform, so it really has no limitations beyond just, you know, model kit engineering as to how accurate and detailed it can be. They're about 10 inches tall, maybe 25 centimeters, give or take. Very satisfying size. Not too tall, won't take up an enormous amount of space on your shelf, but a satisfying amount of size to him. He's got a good heft. So for further comparison's sake, here he is next to Hasbro's 20th anniversary Optimus Prime. As you can see, he's quite a lot bigger, but you can see there's not a lot of direct correlation between the two of them. I mean, they have obviously similarly shaped heads. They both have the exhaust pipes on their shoulders, sort of. They both have the truck windows on their chests. Kind of vaguely similar details on their abdomens, but not a lot of direct correlation in terms of design and detail. But you can see where the design evolution of the new Prime came from. You know, it's not really based on the old one, but there are certain design elements in common. So I'm glad that they were able to at least remain somewhat faithful to the original character in the design, even if, you know, they had to depart quite significantly in a lot of ways. So that's pretty much all there is to say about Prime and Bumblebee. They're absolutely fantastic kits. They've got some minor flaws. Prime more so than Bumblebee. I think mostly just because they tried to do a little more with Prime than they should have. You know, the extra knee joint, The articulated fingers were a nice touch, but it would have been nice if they were a little more stable. But for the most part, otherwise, he's a fantastic kit, and likewise with Bumblebee. But you know, there's one thing I've got to stress on anyone thinking of buying these kits. They are not toys. They are not to be played with in the conventional sense. Like, they're not for children. Their stability is just not, you know, they're just not sturdy enough to be handled with any regularity. You know, these are the kind of things you build them, you paint them if you want to, you put them in a pose you like, you put them on the shelf, and occasionally you take them down and put them in a new pose. You know, they're not the kind of things that you know, smash into each other like children playing with toys. You know, it's, you know, they just wouldn't survive. But if you're a modeler, if you're into mecha stuff like Gundam or anything like that, I really highly recommend these just as something different. And if you're into Transformers, especially if you like the Michael Bay movies, which, as I've said, I'm on the fence about still, I really highly recommend them. You know, they're absolutely outstanding, and you can't really go wrong. Bumblebee, I believe, is still available pretty much anywhere you would look. I know they still got some up on HobbyLink Japan, but Prime has, I'm pretty sure, sold out everywhere. But I'm sure they'll be doing a second run shortly, which actually tells me that the line has been pretty successful. So that leads me to believe that they'll probably be doing more, which, crossing my fingers for Starscream and Megatron. I don't really care which version of Megatron. I just want some version of Megatron that I can pose alongside Prime. So yeah, that'll you know, like I said, fingers are crossed for that. But I haven't heard any announcements. And I keep my ear pretty close to the grindstone for that sort of news. And I haven't heard anything yet. So even if there were to be announced tomorrow, they probably still wouldn't be out for another 6 or 7 months. But we'll wait and see. In the meantime, I will be doing unboxing videos for my Viper Mark 7 and for my P-51D Mustang. They'll be going up probably within the next day or so, so do stay tuned for those. And thanks everyone out there for watching, and happy modeling.